No one in the restaurant could believe what they were seeing. A young black waitress stood frozen, her tray trembling, as a billionaire at the corner table began speaking with her, using sign language. But what shocked everyone wasn't that the waitress knew how to sign, it was what she told the billionaire that changed everything. Moments earlier, Maya had noticed something strange. A man sitting just a few tables behind the wealthy woman, watching her every move. He wasn't eating. He wasn't even pretending to. He was just observing. And the look in his eyes wasn't curiosity, it was intent. Before we dive deeper into this story, hit the like button and subscribe now. Here you'll find life-changing stories that will keep you inspired every single time. Maya had worked at the Golden Ember, a luxury restaurant frequented by the richest people in the city. She'd seen celebrities, millionaires, and politicians, but none stood out like Evelyn Hart, the elegant deaf billionaire whose kindness was whispered about as much as her immense fortune. Evelyn was known for donating millions to schools for children with disabilities. Her calm smile and quiet grace made everyone in the room instinctively lower their voices, as if her silence carried more meaning than words ever could. That night, she dined alone, reading something on her tablet, unaware of the pair of eyes fixed on her from behind. Maya, balancing plates and smiles, noticed the man again. He adjusted his jacket nervously, checked his phone, and scribbled something on a napkin. Every instinct in her told her something was off. She had learned sign language years ago to communicate with her younger brother, who was deaf, a skill that had once felt like a small personal victory, but tonight, it might just become something life-changing. As Maya approached Evelyn's table with a warm smile, she tapped gently on the billionaire's shoulder. Evelyn looked up, her blue eyes kind but surprised. Maya began signing discreetly, "Someone is watching you. Behind you." Evelyn's expression changed instantly, her composure cracked for a split second. She looked at Maya, then subtly tore her glass of water, as if processing the information. Evelyn signed back, "Are you sure?" Maya nodded. "He's been here since you arrived. He hasn't touched his food." Evelyn took a deep breath. Her pulse quickened, but her movements remained graceful, almost rehearsed. She slowly reached into her purse and took out her phone, typing something quickly before glancing toward the man in the reflection of a nearby mirror. At that moment, the tension between the two women became palpable, one with all the money in the world, the other with nothing but intuition and courage. Yet they were bound by a silent language no one else in the restaurant understood. Suddenly, the man behind Evelyn stood up. Maya's heart jumped. He began walking, not toward the exit, but toward Evelyn's table. She wanted to shout, to warn her out loud, but she held back, knowing it would draw attention. Evelyn stayed calm, looking straight ahead, pretending not to notice him. Maya stepped forward, pretending to wipe the table beside her, her hand subtly signing under the tablecloth, "He's coming." The man stopped at Evelyn's side, pulling something from his pocket. Time seemed to freeze. Every pair of eyes turned toward the table. Evelyn looked up at him, her expression unreadable. Maya held her breath, her tray trembling in her hands. But instead of panic, Evelyn smiled. She signed something to the man, calm and confident, her eyes glinting with something almost triumphant. Whatever she said made the man's face go pale. He froze in place. The room went silent. Maya felt the weight of 100 questions pressing in at once. Who was this man? What did Evelyn just sign to him? And how could she be so calm in the face of danger? The moment passed, but the mystery only deepened, because Maya would soon learn that the man wasn't just some stranger. He was someone from Evelyn's past. Someone connected to a secret that had been buried for years. And this was only the beginning. Evelyn's calmness that night haunted Maya long after her shift ended. The billionaire hadn't called security, hadn't raised her voice. She had simply stood, signed something to the man, and watched as he quietly left the restaurant. The whole place had been buzzing afterward, whispers spreading like wildfire. Some thought the man was an ex-lover. Others said he was a journalist chasing a scandal. But Maya couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to it, something deeper, almost painful, behind Evelyn's composed smile. The next morning, when Maya arrived for her shift, the restaurant manager handed her an envelope. "For Mrs. Hart," he said, eyes wide with curiosity. Inside was a handwritten note, Meet me at the Heart Foundation headquarters at noon. EH. Maya's hands trembled. Why would a billionaire, a deaf billionaire, want to see her? At noon, Maya stood outside the tall glass building, her reflection dwarfed by the words Heart Foundation for the deaf and disabled. Inside, the lobby glimmered with marble floors, golden accents, and quiet luxury. It was the kind of place that smelled like money, the air conditioning soft, the silence expensive. Evelyn appeared moments later, dressed in a white suit that seemed to glow under the light. She smiled warmly and signed, "Thank you for last night." Maya signed back nervously, "I was just doing what anyone would do." Evelyn shook her head gently. "No. Most people would have ignored it. You saw something and acted. That takes heart." Her hands moved gracefully, each sign deliberate, elegant, like art in motion. Then Evelyn hesitated, her eyes softening. "That man. He used to work for my father." Maya frowned. "Your father?" Evelyn nodded. "He was my father's assistant before the accident that took my hearing. After my father passed, he tried to take control of the company. I stopped him. He lost everything. I never saw him again, until last night." Her expression grew distant, almost haunted. "He wasn't there to hurt me. He wanted money." Maya blinked, surprised. "And you let him go?" Evelyn smiled faintly. "Money can buy silence, but it can't buy peace. Sometimes kindness disarms better than wealth." Her hands paused, then continued. "But I'm worried. He knows too much about my past. About how I built my fortune." That last line struck Maya like a chill. "What do you mean?" she signed slowly. Evelyn hesitated, then looked around the empty office. "There's something I've kept hidden. Something even my board doesn't know." Before Maya could ask, Evelyn's assistant entered with a tablet. A message flashed across the screen, "Anonymous email. If you don't pay $5 million by midnight, your secret will be public." Evelyn's expression didn't change, but her fingers trembled as she held the device. Maya felt her stomach twist. "That man," she began. Evelyn nodded slowly. "It must be him." The billionaire walked toward the window, overlooking the glittering skyline of her empire. "I spent my life building wealth, creating opportunities, helping others. But one mistake, one secret, could destroy it all." Maya wanted to help, but how could a waitress stand beside a billionaire in a world of power and money? Still, she felt drawn to Evelyn, to her quiet strength, her vulnerability hidden behind elegance. "What will you do?" she signed. Evelyn turned, her eyes fierce now. "I'm not paying him. If the truth comes out, so be it. But I need to find proof before he does." Then, she looked at Maya. "You noticed him before anyone else. You have sharp eyes. I could use that." Maya's heart skipped. "You want me to help you?" Evelyn nodded. "If you're willing." And just like that, the billionaire and the waitress, two women from completely different worlds, were about to uncover a secret that could shake the foundation of Evelyn's entire fortune. But neither of them had any idea that the truth waiting ahead would not only test their courage, it would redefine what wealth, loyalty, and humanity truly mean. That night, the city glittered like scattered diamonds beneath the moonlight, a perfect mask for secrets money could hide. Maya couldn't believe she was sitting in the back of a black limousine beside Evelyn Hart, the billionaire whose name was printed on magazines and charity galas. The silence between them was oddly comfortable, filled with mutual curiosity. Evelyn signed, "We're going to his office. The man's name is Robert Lane." Maya nodded, heart pounding. Robert, the man from the restaurant. The one who'd watched Evelyn like he knew her soul. When they arrived, Evelyn unlocked a sleek glass door with her fingerprint. Inside, the office looked abandoned, papers scattered across the desk, dust coating everything except a single laptop that was still humming faintly. Maya frowned. "He was here," she whispered, more to herself. Evelyn, reading her lips, moved closer to the desk and typed. The screen revealed emails, drafts addressed to Evelyn, filled with threats, desperation, and finally, regret. "I didn't want to do this," one email read, but they gave me no choice. Evelyn's expression hardened. They? She signed. There was someone else behind this. Maya's pulse quickened. Maybe he wasn't working alone, she suggested. Evelyn nodded. Then, without warning, the door creaked open. Both women froze. It was Robert. His face looked tired, almost broken, as if the years had drained him. Evelyn, he said softly, his voice trembling. You shouldn't have come. Evelyn turned toward Maya and signed quickly, Stay behind me. But Maya stepped forward anyway, determination lighting her eyes. Why are you doing this? She demanded. Robert looked at her, then back at Evelyn. Because I lost everything when your father died, he said. He promised me part of the company. When you took over, you erased me. Do you know what it's like to watch someone else live the life you were meant to have? His tone cracked, pain laced with envy. Evelyn's lips parted slightly, but no words came out. Instead, her hands moved gracefully. You betrayed him. You tried to forge documents. I had no choice. Robert laughed bitterly. You had a choice. You always do, when you have money. His eyes softened. I didn't want to hurt you, but they found me. He paused. People who want your secrets. Evelyn frowned, confusion flickering across her face. Who? She signed sharply. But Robert shook his head. It's too late. They already have what they need. Suddenly, the laptop beeped, an automatic email sent. Maya rushed to the screen. Her eyes widened. It's sending files. Evelyn, it's everything. Your financial records, your foundation documents, everything. Evelyn's face went pale. She grabbed the laptop, trying to stop it, but the progress bar filled to 100%. The screen flashed. Transfer complete. Maya's heart sank. What now? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. Evelyn looked at her with a calm so deep it felt almost unnatural. We find out where it went. Robert sighed, guilt thick in his voice. It's not me anymore. It's them. They're bigger than you think. They want your foundation, your name. Maya could feel the room tightening around them. She looked at Evelyn, this billionaire who had every reason to walk away, yet she stood firm, her expression unreadable. Then Evelyn reached into her bag and pulled out a silver flash drive. This, she signed, is my insurance. My father's last letter. The truth about how he made his fortune. Maya's eyes widened. What's on it? Evelyn hesitated, her gaze heavy. Proof that not all wealth is earned cleanly. Robert's head dropped. You can't let that out, he muttered. It'll ruin everything, your family name, your legacy. Evelyn's hands moved slowly. Sometimes the truth is worth more than reputation. And in that moment, Maya realized the woman beside her wasn't just a billionaire. She was someone ready to risk her fortune, her empire, and her name. All for honesty. But before Evelyn could take another breath, her phone vibrated. A single message appeared on the screen. We have the flash drive. Don't try to hide. Her eyes widened in horror. She turned to Maya. The drive was gone. The flash drive was gone, vanished without a trace. For a long, breathless moment, neither woman spoke. Evelyn stood frozen, her mind racing through every possible explanation. Maya's pulse hammered in her ears. The room that had once felt vast now felt suffocatingly small. It was here, she whispered. You had it right there. Evelyn signed sharply. They were watching us. We need to move. Now. Within minutes, they were back in the limousine, gliding through the city's midnight glow. Evelyn's phone buzzed again, another message. Meet us at the Old Heart Warehouse. Come alone. Maya leaned closer. You can't go there, she said. But Evelyn's eyes were steady, defiant. I have to. That drive isn't just a memory stick, Maya. It's the truth about where my father's wealth came from, the truth about how I became a billionaire. Maya stared at her, confused. I thought your fortune came from your companies. Evelyn shook her head slowly. That's the story the world believes. But my father built his empire through a deal that cost lives. He covered it up before he died, and left me the evidence. I've spent my life trying to make amends, building schools, charities, hospitals, but guilt doesn't fade when it's inherited. Her hands moved faster now, emotion tightening her gestures. If that truth gets out without context, everything good I've done will be erased. The car stopped outside a massive, dimly lit building. The warehouse loomed over them like a ghost from another lifetime. Maya could feel the air thick with tension. She turned to Evelyn, signing clumsily, "You don't have to do this alone." Evelyn smiled softly. "You've done more for me in 2 days than people with millions ever have. But this is my burden." Still, Maya followed. Inside, the air smelled of dust and rusted metal. Shadows stretched across the floor, and a faint light flickered from the far end. Evelyn walked ahead with purpose, her heels echoing against the cold concrete. Then, a voice broke the silence. "You came." Robert stepped out of the shadows. But he wasn't alone. A woman stood beside him, tall, poised, dressed in a sharp navy suit, her expression cold and calculated. "Ms. Hart," she said smoothly, "I'm Victoria Hale. I represent the investors who helped rebuild your father's company after his death. You might say we own part of your fortune." Evelyn frowned, her eyes narrowing as Maya quickly signed what Victoria said. Evelyn's response was quick, her signs sharp. "You're behind this. You stole the drive." Victoria smirked. "Stole? No. Reclaimed. That information was never yours to protect. The world doesn't need another martyr billionaire trying to buy forgiveness." Evelyn stood tall, unflinching. She signed, "You think money is power. But truth lasts longer than wealth." Victoria's smile didn't waver. Truth doesn't feed investors. Truth doesn't build empires. She took a step closer. "You want the drive? Pay $50 million, and it's yours. Otherwise, by morning, every major news outlet will have it." Maya gasped. "$50 million, she whispered. Evelyn's fortune was vast, but this wasn't about money anymore, it was about control. Evelyn met Victoria's gaze, her silence heavier than any words. Then she signed slowly, deliberately, "You can expose me. But know this, I'm not ashamed of my past anymore." Victoria's smile faltered. "What are you saying?" Evelyn pulled out her phone and pressed a button. A red light blinked, live streaming. Maya's heart raced. Evelyn was broadcasting their conversation to her foundation's millions of followers. She signed toward the camera, her gestures strong and elegant. "My father's wealth came from mistakes. But I've spent my life turning guilt into hope. If that makes me flawed, then I am proudly human." Victoria's face drained of color. "Turn it off," she shouted, lunging forward. But Maya stepped between them, blocking her path. Evelyn stood unshaken, her face glowing under the dim warehouse lights. And just as Victoria reached for her, a loud click echoed through the air. The warehouse doors swung open. Dozens of flashing lights filled the room, reporters, cameras, police. The truth was no longer a secret. But the story wasn't over yet, because what happened next would prove that sometimes the poorest hearts hold the richest courage. The warehouse erupted into chaos. Flashes from cameras lit the dusty air like lightning. Reporters shouted questions. Microphones stretched forward, the hum of voices rising into a storm. Evelyn Hart, the billionaire philanthropist, the woman whose silence had always spoken louder than words, stood motionless, her face calm amid the frenzy. Maya, still shielding her, felt her pulse racing. Evelyn signed softly, "It's okay. Let them see." But the crowd wasn't kind. They hurled accusations, desperate for scandal, not truth. Words like fraud, fortune, and scandal filled the air, slicing through the noise like glass. Victoria Hale, the investor who had orchestrated the blackmail, tried to slip away, but the police officers quickly surrounded her. "You can't prove anything," she snapped. But Maya, quick-thinking and determined, grabbed the laptop from a nearby table. "Actually," she said, her voice trembling but fierce, "you can." She pointed to the live stream still running on Evelyn's phone. Everything, Victoria's threats, the extortion, the confession, had been broadcast to millions of viewers. The police took Victoria's arm, and she glared at Evelyn. You think you've won, she hissed. Your reputation is finished. No one will trust you again. Evelyn met her gaze, her hands moving slowly, deliberately. Then maybe they'll stop trusting wealth and start believing in honesty. Her fingers shook slightly, but her expression remained serene. As Victoria was led away, Evelyn turned toward the cameras. Her phone still streamed live, the world watching in stunned silence. Maya signed quickly, "You don't have to do this." But Evelyn smiled, that calm, knowing smile that could soften even the coldest hearts. She began signing again, her message translating through captions on the live stream. "For years, I've used my fortune to help others. But I've learned that true wealth isn't measured in money, it's in integrity, in the courage to face what you've hidden." Her words spread across the internet like wildfire. Within minutes, millions were commenting, sharing, reacting, not with anger but awe. People from around the world praised her honesty, calling her the billionaire with no secrets. For the first time in her life, Evelyn felt free. When the chaos died down, she and Maya sat in the now empty warehouse, the hum of the city faint in the distance. Evelyn looked at her, tears glinting in her blue eyes. "You saved me," she signed. Maya shook her head, smiling gently. "No. You saved yourself. You just needed someone to remind you that truth isn't weakness." Evelyn laughed silently, the sound more like a sigh of relief. Then she took Maya's hand. "You're wasted in that restaurant. I want you to work for me, at the foundation. Help me rebuild it, stronger than before." Maya's eyes widened. "Me? But I'm just a waitress." Evelyn shook her head firmly. "You're more than that. You see people, really see them. That's something money can't buy." Maya hesitated, emotion flooding her chest. "I don't know what to say." Evelyn smiled softly. "Say yes." And for the first time in her life, Maya felt like she belonged somewhere she never thought she would, not because of status or wealth, but because she'd earned it through heart. But just as the weight began to lift, Evelyn's phone buzzed once more. She frowned, unlocking it. A new message appeared. "The files you streamed weren't complete. There's more you don't know about your father. Meet me tomorrow. Alone." Maya saw her expression darken. "Who is it?" she asked. Evelyn didn't answer. She only looked out at the city skyline, its glowing towers reflecting her face, half in shadow, half in light. "It seems," she signed slowly, "that the truth has layers, and we've only uncovered the first." Maya felt a chill crawl up her spine. "You're not going alone," she said firmly. Evelyn looked at her, part gratitude, part fear, and nodded. "Then tomorrow, we face it together." Neither of them knew it yet, but the secret waiting for them would make everything they just survived look like the calm before the real storm. The next morning, the city hummed with life, oblivious to the tension brewing in Evelyn Hart's world. Maya arrived early at the foundation, her heart racing. Evelyn was already there, standing by the expansive window, hands folded, eyes distant. The message from last night still burned in her mind. "The files you streamed weren't complete. There's more you don't know about your father." Maya could feel the weight of anticipation pressing down on them both. Evelyn signed quickly. "I've traced the message. It came from someone inside my father's old network, someone who knows the original contracts, the hidden accounts. They want the rest of the fortune, and my silence." Maya nodded, steeling herself. "Then we find them first. Before they find you." Evelyn's gaze softened. "I want you by my side. You've earned your place here, Maya. But this, it will be dangerous. The truth is buried under decades of wealth, betrayal, and lies." Hours later, they arrived at a small, nondescript building on the outskirts of the city. Evelyn's driver, now part of their small trusted circle, parked the car, and the women entered cautiously. Inside, the space was stark: concrete floors, steel shelves, and filing cabinets that smelled of old paper. Evelyn's intuition guided her to a locked office at the back. Her hands trembled slightly as she pulled out a set of keys, inherited from her father. As the door creaked open, they discovered stacks of documents, ledgers, and binders, the hidden backbone of her father's empire. Evelyn carefully sifted through them, her fingers brushing over old signatures and faded ink. Maya noticed something odd, a ledger with names she recognized from the charity boards. "Evelyn, these aren't just records. They're connections. Some of these people are still in your network. Evelyn nodded grimly. Exactly. And some of them aren't loyal anymore. Suddenly, a faint creak echoed from the hallway. Both women froze. Maya signed urgently, "We're not alone." Evelyn's eyes narrowed. She gestured toward a side door, moving with quiet precision. They slipped into a storage room, barely breathing, as footsteps grew louder. From a small crack in the wall, they saw a man rifling through files, middle-aged, calculating, clearly searching for something valuable. Evelyn's lips moved silently, signing instructions to Maya, "We distract him. Take the drive. Get out." Maya swallowed her fear and nodded. As Evelyn moved toward the man, her hands gracefully signing threats, Maya inched toward the stack of documents. The man looked up, startled, but Evelyn's commanding presence froze him in place. "Leave now," Evelyn signed, eyes locked on his. The man hesitated, then bolted, leaving the room as suddenly as he had appeared. Breathing heavily, Evelyn and Maya exchanged glances. Evelyn picked up the flash drive, her fingers trembling. "This," she signed, "contains the truth about my father, everything. But it's not just about money. It's about accountability. About the lives touched, the mistakes corrected." Maya nodded, overwhelmed by the gravity of the moment. "And now," she signed. Evelyn smiled faintly, her blue eyes reflecting determination and pain. "Now, we decide how to use it. We can rebuild everything honestly this time. We can turn the legacy of greed into something meaningful." But as they prepared to leave, Evelyn's phone buzzed again. A single message flashed. "You think you've won, but you've only just begun. Meet me tonight. Alone. Or the world will see everything differently." Evelyn's jaw tightened. Maya stepped close. "You're not going alone." Evelyn looked at her, torn between fear and resolve, then nodded. "Then together, we finish this." In that moment, Maya realized something profound. Wealth and power were fleeting, but courage, loyalty, and truth could create a legacy far stronger than money ever could. And as the sun set over the city, casting long shadows through the warehouse's tall windows, the two women, one a billionaire, the other a waitress, prepared to face a challenge that would not only test their bond but redefine what it meant to be rich in heart, not just in fortune. Night had fallen over the city, a blanket of dark blue pierced by the glittering lights of skyscrapers. Evelyn and Maya arrived at the designated meeting spot, a quiet rooftop overlooking the skyline, the wind tugging at their coats. The message from earlier burned in their minds: "Meet me tonight. Alone. Or the world will see everything differently." Evelyn's hands moved with a mix of tension and resolve. "We can't let fear decide our next move. The truth is ours to protect, to share on our terms." Maya nodded, her heart pounding, the city lights reflecting her wide eyes. They waited. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Then, a figure emerged from the shadows, the man who had orchestrated the threats. His face was partially obscured, but his confidence radiated in the way he stood, hands clasped behind his back. Evelyn stepped forward, signing deliberately, "Who are you? What do you want?" The man smiled coldly, his voice low. "You think streaming those files protected you? That was only the beginning. You've inherited more than wealth, Evelyn. You've inherited enemies." Maya signed quickly, "We're not afraid. You won't intimidate us." Evelyn glanced at her, pride shining in her eyes. Then she addressed the man again, her signs elegant, precise. "We've seen your plan. We know what you're capable of. But we're not negotiating out of fear. You underestimated us." The man paused, studying her. Then, with a faint smirk, he pulled out a folder and handed it to Evelyn. "This contains all the remaining contracts, every hidden account, every secret deal your father made. Decide wisely. Your next move will define your legacy." Evelyn took the folder slowly, feeling the weight of decades of history in her hands. She opened it and began to read, the fluorescent rooftop lights casting shadows over her determined face. Hours passed as she sifted through the documents, and Maya stayed close, supporting her silently. Every page revealed more than money. It revealed betrayal, compassion overlooked, choices that had impacted thousands. Evelyn's eyes glistened with tears, but she held her composure. "We can turn this into something good," she signed, her voice calm, eyes fierce. "It's not just wealth. It's opportunity, to repair what was broken, to make amends for my father's mistakes. Finally, Evelyn closed the folder. She looked at Maya, signing slowly. We expose everything, but we control the narrative. We don't let greed dictate the story. We show the world that integrity can survive even in the hands of the wealthy. Maya nodded, understanding the courage it took to risk reputation, fortune, and legacy for truth. The man stepped back, realization dawning in his eyes. You're different than I expected. Most people would crumble. Evelyn's hands moved deliberately. I'm not most people. And you should have known that before challenging me. His expression faltered. Then quietly, he disappeared into the shadows, leaving the rooftop silent but for the hum of the city below. Evelyn looked at Maya, her eyes softening. You helped me see that courage isn't measured in money. You reminded me that heart can surpass fortune. For that, thank you. Maya smiled, signing back, we did it together. The two women descended the rooftop, the first light of dawn touching the horizon. Evelyn's foundation now had not just wealth, but purpose. The billionaire and the waitress, worlds apart yet united by courage and honesty, had turned fear and secrecy into opportunity and hope. And as they walked toward the streets below, Evelyn signed one last message to Maya. Remember this moment. Money is nothing without heart. You've changed my life forever. Maya felt a warmth in her chest, understanding that some riches cannot be counted, measured, or stolen, because they exist in the courage to face the truth and the compassion to protect it. That night marked the end of one story and the beginning of another, a story of integrity, of bravery, and of a bond forged not by wealth, but by the power of trust, honesty, and heart. If you enjoyed this story, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, share this video and tell us in the comments, what part of this journey moved you the most? Here's another story waiting for you, and I'm sure it will change the way you see the world. Thank you for watching, see you soon.